Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of This Week in the XFL. I'm your host, as always, the referee representing XFL Newsroom. Ooh, the number one source in XFL news. So we have a huge news week for everybody. We're talking about some real big news. We're going to be talking XFL Draft. We're going to be talking about XFL season tickets, and we're going to be talking about the folks who will be manning the booth for the top XFL games. But before we get started, we wanted to remind you and everybody that we have a 1,000 subscriber giveaway going on right now. And the good news is we hit the mark. We're well above 1,000 subscribers. So from my heart, thank you very much. I'm very humbled by that. So we're gonna announce the winner on next week's episode of This Week in the XFL. So that means you still have a shot to get in this bad boy. All you need to do to enter is subscribe, plus comment and like on any of the latest videos, and you'll get an extra entry if you're already subscribed. What are you gonna get? Well, you're gonna get a snazzy XFL hat just like this one. Plus, we're gonna throw some extra goodies in the bag. So get signed up, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you wanna get in that bad boy. And we're also gonna mention here before we kick into the news, we're also going to be doing live draft coverage this Tuesday, October 15th, starting at 10 a.m. Eastern, maybe a little bit before. So that's another reason you're gonna wanna be subscribed and hit that bell. The XFL, as we know, are only going to be announcing the draft picks on social media and across their website. So if you want some live draft coverage, sign you up, get subscribed. We're also going to be joined by Tron Hawkins of This Is the XFL podcast, as well as J-Dash from the XF podcast, and we might have some other guests throughout the day. So you're not going to want to miss this one. But hey, that's all the fun stuff. We're gonna get to the news. We're not gonna talk about the draft right away. We're gonna save that news for the end of the episode. So the first thing we're gonna talk about here is season ticket selection has officially begun. And you know it, I got my tickets right here, 109 at TD-ECU Stadium. I'm ready, so if you're in section 109, let us know down in the comments. And did you get your season tickets? What are you thinking of all the selection process? I thought it went pretty smooth. In fact, I actually had to call them up because I was having some issues with my card. And I'll tell you this, the representative that helped me out couldn't have been nicer. He took care of me and it was no hassle at all. So sign the XFL up there. Like I said, getting the right people in the right places all the way down to a customer service level. I'm feeling signed up. So we're gonna go through some of the details here. So basically, the prices are fairly similar across all of the different franchises, right? It ranges from that roughly $20 mark up to the $90 mark. There is a couple exceptions, right? So the New York Guardians, it's a little bit more expensive there, but not by much, right? So the cheapest tickets run around $25, with the most expensive at $115. Now, most of the teams, most of them, run $20 to $90. And again, there are some exceptions there. Now, the Renegades, they have a little bit cheaper on the premium ticket prices. Their top ticket price is only $85. So, hey, this is basically what the league needed to do, is make those tickets affordable. In all reality, when I'm looking at the highest price in the league being $115 a game, that's cheap as chips compared to the NFL, right? $100 is gonna get you some mid to low range tickets in the NFL, in most of the stadiums. Maybe if the team is doing poorly, you may be able to buy some scalp tickets for cheaper, some off-market tickets. But all in all, this is great pricing. This is exactly what we were expecting, so that's good. It seems that all the tickets are going to be digital, but that could change, right? So don't expect some big ticket package. at least as of yet, right? And that was the only option I was giving when I was booking my season tickets there, again for the Roughnecks. But hey, let us know, did you get your season tickets? If not, are you having any apprehensions? What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments below. Or hey, if you're feeling like having a good time, click the link down in the description for the Discord. Come and hang out with a bunch of other like-minded XFL fans just like you, and hey, me for that matter. So beyond the season ticket prices, we also learned some of the perks, right? So beyond the pricing, we also know that you're gonna get 25% off of all of your purchases at XFL.com, which that's pretty sweet. I like the discount, but there's also going to be some early access events and just exclusive events that aren't necessarily tied to the games that only season ticket holders will be able to attend. And really the biggest one to me is it seems like, at least for a limited time, if you reserve your season tickets, you'll also have field access to at least one game, right? So that's either a pre-game or a post-game event. You'll be able to go right down on the field yourself. So all in all, I'm loving the season ticket news. There's a lot of stuff to go over here, but we're gonna move on to that next story. We're not moving on to that draft information just yet because we have some XFL television news. So not only has ESPN, but Fox as well have announced who is going to be calling the top XFL games each week, right? And what do they mean by the top XFL games? So basically the major games that are happening that week, right? So there's gonna be 2 games per day. I would assume that the major game, the bigger game that day of each day, will have these people in the broadcast booth. And I gotta say, this list is a little surprising in some aspects, and there's some other folks that we had expected, right? So we're gonna run down that right now. So from ESPN, we have Pat McAfee, Dan Orlovsky, and Steve Levy, right? And Orlovsky and McAfee kind of already have a little bit of a working relationship. They kind of have a good banter back and forth. And Steve Levy's another one that is just great to have behind the booth. I think, quite honestly, I think that's going to be the more fun booth, right? You have some folks, some younger guys there as well to give it just kind of a different feel. But from the Fox side, it's really all professional. We have Kurt Menefee, right, and Joe Klatt. Now, having Kurt Menefee in the booth for the XFL, at least to me, if you ask me, is a huge deal. It's one of those name recognition things, right? So when folks are watching football, they're leading up to the playoffs, they're watching the Super Bowl, which is again on Fox this year. So I wouldn't doubt if we see some type of XFL advertisement, just the way we've seen them push WWE SmackDown in the last few weeks. So that's one other thing to look at. But for all the folks that don't know the XFL exists, right? The ones that will be learning, because it will happen to somebody, flipping through the channels on any given Saturday or Sunday after the NFL season ends, right? It's gonna happen. And they're gonna see Kurt Menefee, the same guy that they see on the Fox pre-show for the NFL, talking about the XFL. And that is going to stop some people from clicking further on that remote. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. That's just the way it's gonna work. So all in all, this isn't, again, all of the folks that are going to be calling the games, but these are the ones that are going to be calling the big games. And I gotta say, kudos to this list, right? This is big names, fun attitudes, fun characters, names that people know, right? And some up-and-comers trying to get their name out there. Again, I'm signed up on this. I don't know how you're feeling, but let us know down in the comments below. So now we're moving on to the big story, the XFL Draft, right? We already knew that it was going to take place October 15th and 16th, right? We had announced that a few weeks ago on This Week in the XFL. Well, we have a couple more details. This past Monday, the league has put out a release giving us pretty much everything we need to know. And every day since, they've dropped about 200 or roughly 200 players a day of the folks that are going to be included into the draft pool. So as of recording right now, we don't have the full list, but sometime Friday, sometime the day that this releases, we should know all 1,000 players that are going to be in the XFL draft pool, right? And again, at the time of the recording, we don't have any more news on the Tier 1 quarterbacks, but I would assume we'll either see it sometime this weekend or on the Monday before the draft, or maybe even the day of the draft. But we'll keep you posted as we learn more, so make sure you're checking out XFLnewsroom.com daily. There's a reason we're the #1 source in XFL news. So like we mentioned, the 15th and the 16th. So we don't necessarily know the time of the 16th, but we know Tuesday, the event kicks off at 10 a.m. Eastern. And like we mentioned before, we're going to be giving live coverage of the event, announcing all the picks throughout the day. So make sure you're subscribed, hit that bell to see when we go live. It's going to be a good time. We're also going to have Tron Hawkins from the XFL podcast, J-Dash from the XF podcast. We might have some other guests throughout the day as well. So we'll keep you posted as we learn more. You'll be able to see that at XFLnewsroom.com as well as our YouTube channel. But enough of the promotion. Let's get into the fun stuff, right? So starting at 10 a.m. Tuesday, we basically have 5 different phases of the draft. The first 3 are going to take place on the 15th, with the second 2 taking place on the 16th. At the end of the event, each team will have a 71-man roster. Now, we originally heard it was going to be 70, but it's going to be 71. Now, they are going to whittle those rosters down. There are some folks that'll probably end up on Team 9 from those initial picks, right? The other big news that we finally have official is that Tier 1 quarterbacks are going to be assigned to the teams, right? So we only know one so far, and that's Landry Jones. As we've talked about before, if it was assigned, which we know now that it will be, I fully expect Landry Jones to end up in Dallas, but that still leaves 7 other teams. We've heard some rumors of some names of people that may be Tier 1 quarterbacks, but nothing solid enough to report on just yet, but we should know that information soon. So we're talking about the different phases, right? So each phase has kind of a different player pool. So the first pool is skill players. So quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, right? Second pool is offensive line, so offensive tackle, guard, centers. Third pool is defensive front 7, linebackers, defensive line. And then the fourth pool is defensive backfield. And the fifth pool is basically a free-for-all. So out of the first 4 pools, in each pool, each team gets 10 players. So after the first 4, each team is going to have 40 players. And that fifth pool is going to account for the rest of the players. So there should be roughly 31 picks in that pool for each team. Granted, if a team skips a pick, they may get some extra picks in that 5th phase, but we don't know if that's going to happen. So as we suspected and as we kind of reported on in the past, each team is going to have their own individual war room, right? And they're going to be announcing their picks via video conference to Stanford, a central location where the commissioner and the president's going to be at. So again, it doesn't look like it's going to be televised. Actually, we know it's not going to be televised. They mentioned only the picks are going to be announced on social media as well as XFL.com. But like we mentioned, if you're looking for some coverage, we'll be there. I'm sure some other folks will be covering it as well. So there's going to be plenty of content to go around. So another thing about the draft, it's going to be using a snake format, and in each of the phases, there's a different draft pick. The picks, the orders were selected by a random generator. Basically, they put balls in a pit and picked it with coverage, with observations from Commissioner Luck, right? So there's no shenanigans going there. Now, in the future, I would love to see more of a big event about this, but again, we're still in those building stages. That's why it's so fun to be an XFL fan right now. We're seeing the league build up from the ground up, and in a couple years from now, when all the naysayers are proved wrong and the XFL is still around, I think we're going to start seeing some more elaborate events. We might see the draft order selection. We might see some type of televised or streamed event for the draft. But as of now, that's not going to happen. It sounds like there's a contest in LA, so the Wildcats have a contest, and I believe you have to be a season ticket holder to enter. But you'll have an opportunity to go check out their war room, as well as make a selection in the draft. So that's pretty cool if you ask me. If I was around there, I would definitely sign up, but I'm not, so sign me out. But either way, the draft, it's finally here. We finally have the news, and come Wednesday and really Thursday, we're gonna know the folks that are going to be representing each of our teams. Or if you're someone like me that follows all of the teams, we'll finally know the folks that'll be representing each of those teams. Now, granted, I'm a little bit of a homer with the Roughnecks, but my support really is with the full league. But hey, Section 109, we're gonna make it live this year, so if you're at TDECU, come and say hi to the ref, sign you up. So what do you think so far of the guys that we've seen included in the draft pool? Who do you think are gonna be those Tier 1 quarterbacks? We should be learning soon. How do you feel about this draft approach? It's slightly different, right? We're not just a free-for-all the whole time. You pick in different selections of pools, but you have the competitive advantage or disadvantage based on your draft pick in each pool, right? Or at least your draft order. So we are having a lot of fun. It's definitely the time to get excited. We want to hear from you. Like I said, let us know down in the comments below or click the link in the description for the Discord. But hey, that's really about it for you guys this week. It's a fun week. It's a big week. Check us out Tuesday for some live coverage. We'll be back here next Friday, same time, same place. So sign you up. But before we let you go, if you didn't know, we're also on Facebook and Twitter. So make sure you give us a follow at XFL Newsroom. And hey, get signed up while you're doing it. And since we're on YouTube, make sure you drop a like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell to see when we're dropping new videos. Some are going to be live, like next Tuesday, and some are going to be pre-recorded, just like this one. So until next time, sign you up.